So today I have a very exciting video for you because this is something I've been planning for a very long time. It's something that I've been requested a lot to do. So today I'm going to be giving you 8 of my top artist hacks for digital art. I've been doing it for 8.5, nearly 9 years now, and along the way I've picked up little things that I like to do. Whether you call them hacks or tricks, it's up to you. Now, before we begin this video, I would just like to mention that Skillshare is kindly sponsoring this video today. Skillshare is an awesome website where you can learn from the pros. You can learn stuff about art, business, design, photography. It's a website I myself have used for many years, and it's just an awesome website where you can just take loads of classes and different things. It's also very exciting today because if you don't know, I actually make classes on Skillshare. Yeah, I've just released my newest digital art class. It's all about composition and lighting and shadows and colours and all that type of stuff. So Skillshare have kindly given me a link for you to take my class and all of their other classes for free for 2 months, so make sure you check that out while you can. And yeah, I'll talk about Skillshare a little bit later on, but for now, let's get into the hacks. Number 1 is clipping masks. Basically, what a clipping mask does is it allows you to, it's very flexible, but one of the main things that digital artists use them for is to create, really colorize their piece without ruining the edges of the piece. So for example, if you had a circle or some sort of basic drawing that you wanted to colorize, you would create a new layer, you would make your color scheme, your pattern, whatever you want to do, you would right click on that layer, click create clipping mask, and it would apply color only to the area on the bottom layer that you have drawn out. So basically, when you have drawn a basic shape and you want to colorize it, but you're worried about, messing up the edges, making them quite harsh and, not smooth, that's where you'd want to use a clipping mask. My next tip / hack is to use the layer options. Basically what this means is, for example, say you are wanting to create shadows but you're not overly experienced with picking colours, or you don't like picking colours. If you make a new layer above your drawing, use the same colour that you were previously using, but turn your layer into a multiply layer. So basically everything that you paint on the multiply layer will come out darker than it did on the previous layer, so it kind of adds that darkness and that shadow to your piece. The same goes for creating like highlights and bolder colours in your piece. If you create a new layer and use colour dodge, you can see the colours of your previous layer. It looks really cool, and it's just a great way to bring your piece to life. Next up is the colour palette pixelation hack. So basically what you can do is, if you find a photo online you love the colours of and you want that kind of colour scheme in your piece, you can go to filter, pixelate, mosaic, and then you can increase or decrease the amount of pixels in that particular image. So basically what you're doing here essentially is creating a custom palette of colours that you can colour pick from and use in your piece, and it kind of uses the most complementary colours together in the mosaic. Number 4 is something that, again, I've only really taken advantage of in recent years. If you've messed up a specific part of your piece, or you've drawn the eyes too far apart, too far down, you put a tree where you don't want it, basically you can use the reshape and resize tool. And basically what this means is you can grab either the lasso tool or the selection tool and basically just highlight the section of the piece that you don't like, turn on your transform nodes, and that allows you to stretch out, move, change, and basically just completely move around any parts that you don't like. You can also use the warp tool, which allows you to kind of totally reshape everything. But yeah, it's just a great way to fix your work if you feel that you've put something wrong, and you can just keep doing it throughout your piece until you're happy with it. Number 5, another way you can save yourself if you've messed up your work is to use the duplicate layer option. Something that I have joked about before as an artist problem is drawing something I'm happy with but thinking, I think I can improve on that, and then trying to improve it and then messing it up further and making it look worse than it did before. This is why I really love using a layer that's duplicated from the previous layer. So basically what I do is I right click, hit duplicate layer, and basically here what I do is I've kept my original version of the drawing, and then I go ahead and fix whatever I think needs fixing on the next layer, and if it looks worse, I can just delete that layer and keep the original one and then keep duplicating it and fixing it until I'm happy with it. That way you're always keeping an original version of what you are somewhat happy with until you're able to fix it how you want it to be. So always use the duplicate option instead of, you know, messing your piece up further and doing it on the same layer. You can also, another thing I do is just create a new layer in general and just drawing on that layer over the original piece, and if I don't like it I can just hide that layer or delete it. So tip number 6 is an app called AstroPad. Now this is something I came across recently, and I have an iPad. I think Procreate on the iPad is wonderful, it's awesome. However, it's still not Photoshop to me. I love the Photoshop brushes I have, I love the options that Photoshop has, and unfortunately Photoshop doesn't have like a proper full-on version for the iPad. They have like a light version which is not the same in any means. But basically AstroPad allows you to duplicate your screen. So basically on my iPad I can have duplicated my Photoshop screen from my laptop or my computer. So basically, essentially, you're getting a screen tablet on an iPad. So if you are someone that has an iPad, or you're someone that wants to have a screen tablet like a Cintiq but doesn't want to spend $1,000, you could get a cheaper version in an iPad, use the AstroPad app, and then just be able to use your Photoshop from your computer on your iPad instead. So obviously this essentially works if you have an iPad, or the brand new iPads are like $400 as well, so it's a cheaper way of being able to use your Photoshop on an iPad and draw on the screen. So number 7 is layers. Now this is something that it may seem obvious to a lot of people if they've been doing it for a while, or maybe they're new but they still know about layers, but I want to talk about this anyway. I love to use layers to literally layer upon layer upon layer. For example, if I'm drawing something out, I like to start off with a simple grey, beige, or blue type of sketch, adjust the opacity of that layer down to a much more transparent colour, and then I make a new layer and then I draw over that piece again with a pink colour or, you know, a grey colour. Then you can make the opacity of that layer even more transparent, and then you can draw over on a new layer. So basically you're just layering your sketches up until it looks how you want. And this is something you really cannot do with traditional art unless you have like a tracing pad, but it's just a great way to get your piece truly how you want it. Just keep using different colours on different layers as you sketch out until you're able to make that final version. Plus I like to use layers for separating certain parts of my pieces, such as having like an eye layer, so I'm only adjusting the eyes, or a layer for my lips, so I'm only adjusting the lips and not affecting any of the other parts of the face. Yeah, layers are awesome. Lastly, this is something that I myself did not think about until probably the last 6 months, 8 months, something like that, using a Gaussian blur to blur out the background. Now this is something that is really, really cool, because if you've seen many digital art pieces in the past, you may think, wow, I really like how they've got the focus on the main subject and then the background is blurry, kind of like a bokeh background with a camera. For example, right now my background's kind of slightly blurred. Normally I have a different lens, so it can be even more blurred. But it's a great way to, with your composition, have your main subject in focus with the background behind visible but blurred out. And I love to use the Gaussian Blur feature for this. So basically, if you keep your background colorized and awesome, but have it on a separate layer, basically what you can do is go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and this allows you to adjust the blurriness of the background or certain elements of your piece. I used to think, for some reason, that people used to use like a really soft brush to create that really blurred effect in the background, but no, it's much easier to use a Gaussian Blur. And if you don't, or you forget to keep the background on a separate layer, what you can do is you can use the lasso tool to select the area that you want blurred, and then you can use the Gaussian Blur that way. So it basically is only Gaussian blurring the area that you want it to. And if you find that the main subject is kind of got harsh edges when you do that, all you need to do is grab a soft tool brush and then just kind of soften the edges. And yeah, that is everything. I hope that these tips and hacks were helpful to you. I would love to hear if you have any for digital art as well, so make sure you leave them in the comments down below. Also make sure that you do check out Skillshare, because it's an awesome website. They're so supportive and amazing, and they have over 23,000 classes. 3 of those are mine, so make sure that you do check out my class, because I'm actually doing a giveaway for someone if they want to have a free year of Skillshare Premium. All you need to do is take my newest class, leave a review, and you're automatically entered. It's a great way to learn about illustration, art, design, digital art. You know, you can learn a lot about digital art on there. In fact, I could probably make 9 hacks and say Skillshare is a hack, because you can learn a lot from that. So yes, make sure you check out Skillshare, check out the 2-month free link in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really do hope this helped you out. I'll try and think of some more hacks and tricks, but these are the main things that I personally use. And yeah, that's it. Let me know in the comments down below what hacks and tricks that you use with your digital art, because obviously it can be applied to Photoshop, it can be applied to Krita, Paint Tool Sai, GIMP. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video.